WABC New York and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Good morning. This is James Flippin filling in for Noam Laden on this December 27th. It's Friday, and here's your Ramsey Mazda 3-day weather forecast to kick things off. Mostly clear this morning around the tri-state here in Midtown Manhattan. We're just under what was expected to be the overnight low for Central Park. We're at 27 degrees right now. There's light wind out of the north. And later today, look for mostly sunny skies and a high near 38 degrees. Wind should remain light. Tonight, then, and into your Saturday, rain is in the forecast for the entire area, increasing clouds with a low near 35. Saturday and Sunday have rain in the forecast. Saturday's high near 47. A little warmer on Sunday, topping out in the mid-50s. 27 degrees right now in Midtown Manhattan, 21 in Trenton, New Jersey, 22 in Tuckahoe on Long Island, and that's the weather forecast from the Ramsey Mazda Weather Center. So I enjoyed kind of a smaller Christmas celebration this year, Christmas Day anyway. Christmas Eve, always a big blowout party at my cousin's in New Jersey, but it was nice to have a quieter Christmas Day because of the way that we all could kind of chill. My two brothers were over, my parents had come up from South Jersey, and my brother found this book that I've been meaning to show him but kind of forgot about. It's called Letters to Trump, and it was a parting gift for attendees of the RNC in Milwaukee this summer, which I was lucky enough to attend as I covered the event for 77 WABC. And it's a beautiful hardcover book with photos of both Trump and world leaders and celebrities, and it's all focused on these letters that Trump has received and sent to people over the years, just kind of correspondence dating all the way back to the 70s. And there's photos of the letters themselves, photocopies. Hilarious because it features little quips and commentary from Trump about some of these people. Like he tells a story about Mario Cuomo and says, you know, he supported his campaign for governor. And then years later, when he was out of office, he asked him for a little favor. And he said Cuomo turned him down on the favor. And he says, very small, very simple, would have been easy to do. I found it to be very disloyal. You can kind of hear it in Trump's voice as you're reading these little notes. And it was just kind of nice to hang like that, kind of as a family. I really do enjoy the bigger, more raucous family gatherings, but the smaller, more quiet ones are nice. And then we had that night before Christmas Eve, kind of a fun back and forth between Mets and Yankee fans in the family. And my one cousin, Tim, telling me he's happy the Yankees didn't get Juan Soto. Okay, Tim, I know. But quiet on Christmas Day, which was nice. And Boxing Day behind us. Hanukkah continues. And a heads up as you head out this morning, New Jersey's I-80 East will be closed until further notice in and around Wharton as a large sinkhole opened up yesterday morning around 7:45 during the morning rush, just past exit 34 in Wharton on I-80 East. And that's swallowing up a portion of the shoulder and encroaching on the right lane. And there's increased traffic in the town itself of Wharton, so you're asked to basically avoid Interstate 80 if possible. Cars are still moving on the westbound lanes. Cars are being diverted from the highway on the eastbound side to bypass the sinkhole. No word yet as to how long emergency repairs will take there. And in another mess for New Jersey residents, crews are working to repair a large water main break in Edison. More than 20,000 residents left with little to no water pressure after a 20-inch water main break on Woodbridge Avenue overnight. Water could be seen gushing down the street near Benjamin Franklin Elementary School yesterday, pooling in some spots, and Edison delayed the opening of its township offices as a result. Crews first had to figure out where the break exactly was before the work could begin, and this coming just days after a water main break in Edison on Route 27, which is about 3.5 miles away from this one. WABC News Time 5:04. Back in the city, 28-year-old Jason Sargent has been held on $150,000 bail after being accused in the random slashing of two victims on Christmas Eve inside of Grand Central Terminal. Sargent reportedly has a history of mental illness. He was on a subway train Tuesday night, and that pulled into the station. He pulled the emergency brake. He then allegedly screamed and knifed a guy on the platform on the wrist, and that was near the 4-train turnstile. He ran up some stairs, cops say, punched a woman in the back of the head before stabbing or slashing her in the neck. Both victims expected to be okay, but the word is the guy got the worst of it. The New York Post caught up with the woman who actually works as an administrator at the migrant shelter at Roosevelt Hotel, and she explained how scary it was and said, not a lot of people came to her aid. This is one of these things people are talking about post the Daniel Penny, Jordan Neely case. How much are people willing or not willing to kind of jump in when crazy things happen? I will say the guy that got knifed on the wrist near the turnstile, I guess somebody jumped into action and helped him because they needed a tourniquet to more or less save his life. And it was a chaotic scene inside the courtroom when Sargent went before a judge on charges. He realized his mom was there and kind of called out to her and had to be held in place by bailiffs. So the guy's got mental issues, it sounds like, for sure. Meanwhile, a small vigil was held last night in Coney Island.
We come to you, Lord God, pleading for you, Lord God, to help us and protect us, Lord.
That's Reverend Kevin McCall, who held hands and formed a circle with attendees as the vigil was held inside the Coney Island Stillwell Avenue station, where last Sunday a still unidentified woman was burned to death inside a subway train, and 33-year-old Sebastian Zapeta Khalil accused in that one. He's an illegal immigrant from Guatemala, authorities say. He's been charged with murder as well as arson. And the case has horrified New Yorkers and people nationwide, as Zapeta Khalil allegedly poured an accelerant on the woman and lit her on fire before watching her burn. For people who ride the subway every day, strap hangers, as they used to call them, all these unprovoked attacks are enough to set people on edge.
I get paranoid, a lot of anxiety. I notice a lot of women get targeted.
You walk into the subway, you don't know if you're going to get into some kind of situation.
There's a lot of suspicious stuff on it.
Many New Yorkers admitting they're nervous. You never know what's going to happen on the subway. You got to be on guard all the time.
Every time you get in, you take a deep breath.
I do feel safe with police officers on the train.
You just always got to keep an eye open.
WABC News Time coming up on 5:07. I'm James Flippin on this Friday morning, filling in for Noam Layden. Hope everybody had a nice holiday with their family and friends. And this, not exactly a nice story to break into, I have to admit, but there's been a stabbing of a worker at a homeless shelter in Brooklyn, a fatal stabbing. A 35-year-old man stabbed in the neck and stomach at a shelter on East New York Avenue in Brownsville. This happened last night around 6 o'clock. The victim taken to the hospital. He couldn't be saved. We don't have details as to what led up to that stabbing, but the shelter is not operated by the city, apparently. So a drone show planned for New Year's Eve has been canceled in Central Park after an incident involving the company that was supposed to run the event. New York Road Runners, the group that organizes the New York City Marathon, which planned the New Year's drone show, has canceled it as of yesterday because it was on Saturday in Orlando, Florida, when some drones collided during a show, and a boy was hospitalized when it hit him in the chest. And the same company had been contracted to do the drone show in Central Park. The show was supposed to be part of a midnight race being held by the Road Runners. The race is going to go on as scheduled. And by the way, New Year's Eve, there will be a drone show in Brooklyn's Prospect Park. That's a replacement for a fireworks show that was canceled because of the recent drought. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy getting some backlash after defending Silicon Valley's reliance on foreign-born engineers. And a lot of this connects to the HB1 visa. The billionaires are heading up President-elect Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency. And this week on X, they both claimed the U.S. does not have enough talented engineers. Musk wrote on Wednesday, there's a dire shortage of extremely talented and motivated engineers in America. And then it was yesterday when Ramaswamy had a long post on X, basically in summary saying a culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. And in fact, some of our younger listeners or people who enjoyed 90s TV may recall the show Boy Meets World.
When this boy meets world.
Well, it caught some strays in Vivek's post because he more or less said that Corey from Boy Meets World is a bad role model. I think because he was suggesting that he's kind of dense, which I guess he was. But yeah, did not expect to see Boy Meets World getting some shots from Vivek Ramaswamy. The NYPD lieutenant that made headlines for her overtime earnings and sexual abuse allegations made against the former chief of the department wants her old job back.
Lieutenant Quithisha Epps came forward with claims that she endured quid pro quo sexual harassment by former Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry. Madry stepped down shortly after those allegations were made public. Epps was suspended after an internal affairs investigation discovered she raked in over $200,000 in overtime. Epps says that overtime came at the price of sexual favors and demands from Madry. The New York Post reports a lawyer for Epps demanded her suspension be ended and states Epps should be given back pay with the opportunity to retire and a pension next month. Meanwhile, investigators still looking into whether or not Epps was the one faking the overtime. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Christmas is over, but the celebration of Hanukkah is underway. Thousands of people attended the lighting of the national menorah on the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. earlier this week, and each night of Hanukkah, they're lighting the menorah up by Central Park. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas spoke ahead of the menorah lighting this week in D.C., asking attendees to rededicate themselves to the light that defines us as the better world we seek to build. Other speakers there talked about the rise of anti-Semitism in the U.S., saying it must be addressed so that Jewish people can help others who need support. The National Menorah Ceremony has been held each year since 1979. Well, earlier on this hour of the 5 a.m. news hour, we told you about that water main break in Edison. And you should know that a boil water advisory has been issued following the break. More than 20,000 residents left without water pressure, and the 20-inch water main break on Woodbridge Avenue occurred Christmas night. The pipes in Edison's water system are about 80 years old, but officials believe the cold temperatures probably played a role. And speaking of New Jersey, former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez has asked the judge in his federal corruption case to postpone his sentencing until after his wife's trial next year. The couple had been charged in the case at the same time, but different trials were scheduled after her diagnosis of breast cancer. And her trial for Nadine Menendez, that'll begin January 21st, 8 days before Menendez is scheduled to be sentenced. His attorneys cited the emotional toll their family would suffer if Menendez is sentenced amid Nadine's trial. A New Orleans area community is stepping up to help a pastor and his family who lost everything in a fire just days before Christmas. Miguel Serrano is the Spanish ministry pastor at Slidell First Pentecostal Church. He and his wife and family were about to move out of the church parsonage to their new home when the parsonage burned down. The Serranos lost everything, including their car, Christmas presents, and equipment for their painting business. Church members have since raised $7,000 for the family via GoFundMe, and local businesses have replaced their equipment. Fox News personalities Sean Hannity and Ainsley Earhardt are engaged. Hannity popped the question this week at his church in his home state of Florida. Hannity said the couple is bonded over their religious beliefs and says the church was, as a result, the perfect place to propose. In international news, the Kremlin says it's wrong to speculate about what may have caused an airliner to crash in Kazakhstan Wednesday night. Some aviation experts have said the crash was likely caused by Russian anti-aircraft fire. The crash killed 38 of the 67 people on board the Azerbaijan Airlines flight. A spokesperson for Russian President Vladimir Putin said yesterday it would be, quote, incorrect to make any hypotheses about the investigation before conclusions are met. A chief intelligence officer at aviation security firm Osprey Flight Solutions says that airliner was likely shot down by a Russian air defense system. 77 WABC News Time, 5:15 on this December 27th. Not quite yet. It's Friday. And I'm James Flippin. Let's check in on the 77 WABC Sports Desk. The Giants hoping to break the franchise's longest losing streak this weekend. The team will kick off against Anthony Richardson and the Colts from MetLife Stadium Sunday afternoon. Malik Neighbors, the standout rookie wide receiver, one of 7 players who missed practice yesterday due to injury. The G-men have lost 10 straight, just 2-13 on the season. They do, as of right now, hold the number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. The Jets putting the finishing touches on preparations for their Week 17 opponent, the team battling Josh Allen and the Bills at Orchard Park Sunday afternoon. Devontae Adams, Sauce Gardner, Tony Adams, and Elijah Vera Tucker didn't practice yesterday. Gang Green has lost 5 of 6. in third in the AFC East at 4-11. The Brooklyn Nets pumped the brakes on a 2-game losing streak after edging the Bucks 111-105 in Milwaukee. Cameron Johnson led all scorers with 28 points. Noah Clowney and Shake Milton sunk 20, while Nick Claxton grabbed 7 rebounds to go along with 13 points. Brooklyn improved to 12-18 on the season and will host the San Antonio Spurs tonight. The Knicks back on the hardwood tonight following their Christmas Day win over the Spurs. The team tipping off against the Magic from Orlando. Mikal Bridges exploded for 41 points on Christmas Day. Karl Anthony Towns added 21 points and grabbed 9 boards. The Knicks have won 5 straight, and they improved their mark to 20-10 on the season. The Devils are back from the Christmas break. The team returns to action tonight in Newark against the Hurricanes at the Prudential Center. New Jersey coming off its second straight shutout win after a convincing victory over the rival Rangers. Jersey has won 5 of 6 overall and has 49 points on the season. The Rangers remain on break, as do the Islanders. And here's Rhonda Moss with more in sports.
A real barn burner in Chicago. Neither team found the end zone as the Seahawks outkicked the Bears 6-3. Geno Smith threw for just 160 yards in the win, but says he'll take an ugly win any day of the week.
It's a week-to-week league, and it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, man. Like, gutting out a 6-3 win feels just as good as, winning the game 44-41. It's all about getting wins.
Seahawks improved to 9-7 to keep their playoff hopes alive. Bears have dropped 10 straight. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts has not practiced all week, remains in concussion protocol. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb done for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury. At the game above Sports Bowl at Ford Field, Toledo beat Pitt in 6 overtimes. That's the longest bowl game in college history. Red Wings GM Steve Yzerman has seen enough. Fired head coach Derek Lalonde, replaced him with former Kings head coach Todd McClellan. That's sports. I'm Rhonda Moss.
James Flippin filling in for Noam Laden on this Friday morning. WABC News Time 5:20. President-elect Trump's Border Czar says protecting children is a main driver behind the expected zero-tolerance border policy.
Tom Homan says the Biden administration put thousands of kids at risk with lax border enforcement policies.
What they did is harming hundreds of thousands of children. And I tell you right now, some of these children we're never going to find.
The Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General reported that at least 300,000 migrant children basically disappeared off the radar during the Biden-Harris administration. I'm Brian Shook.
Well, this is a grisly story from out on the West Coast. Another leg has washed up on a beach near Los Angeles. Authorities in Palo Verde's estates say a severed human leg washed up on shore early Christmas morning. And then yesterday, a second human leg and a femur found on the shoreline. The remains were found in the same area where 2 fishermen disappeared after their boat capsized earlier this week. Police say the men took their boat out Monday afternoon on the same day that forecasters had issued a small craft advisory due to high waves. Back in New York, a judge has ruled that the woman accusing Jay-Z of rape can remain anonymous. The ruling comes a few weeks after a now 38-year-old woman says Jay-Z, along with Sean Diddy Combs, drugged and raped her when she was 13 years old. She says it happened in 2000 at an MTV Music Awards after-party. Jay-Z's attorney has been pushing the judge in the case for the woman making the accusation to be identified publicly or to have the case dismissed entirely. Jay-Z has denied wrongdoing in the case and previously stated the accuser was attempting to blackmail him. Jay-Z, of course, grew up in the Marcy Projects in Bed-Stuy. Border workers say they're taking that burning death of a woman in Brooklyn personally.
Border security workers say the weekend murder of a homeless woman on the F train in Coney Island is the reason they take the issue so seriously. Lieutenant Chris Olivares with the Texas Department of Public Safety says the attack shows why the movements of illegal immigrants need to be tracked.
That's a prime example of a getaway that's been able to sneak into the country undetected. We cannot wait for these crimes to continue happening. We have to be proactive.
Olivares says if the illegal immigrant suspect had been forced to remain in Mexico, this would never have happened. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
Out in Boulder, Colorado, police now plan to employ new DNA technology in hopes of solving the 1996 murder of 6-year-old John Benet Ramsey. Her father, John Ramsey, scheduled to meet with the police chief next month to advocate for advanced DNA testing. that could separate mixed samples and utilize familial genealogy research. The department has already modernized its investigation in Boulder, digitizing thousands of case files and taking inventory of over 2,500 pieces of evidence. Officials remain committed to identifying John Bonet's killer and bringing closure to her family. Severe weather causing holiday traffic delays in the southeast. The National Weather Service issued tornado warnings in Texas and Louisiana last night, and the FAA ordered ground stops at two major airports in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. More than 700 flights canceled last night because of that stormy weather, including hundreds of flights in and out of Dallas-Fort Worth. A Maryland man faces charges after allegedly disrupting two church services on Christmas Eve. St. Mary's County deputies arrested 34-year-old Thomas Vaughn Gates yesterday. Investigators say he entered the Holy Angels Catholic Church Tuesday night, interrupting Mass and throwing tangerines at a member of the congregation. They say he later went to midnight Mass at St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church and poured whiskey in the holy water while threatening members of that congregation.
Popular. You're gonna be popular.
Fans of the blockbuster film Wicked will soon be able to enjoy it at home. Universal Pictures making the hit Broadway musical adaptation available to buy or rent on digital platforms on New Year's Eve. The digital release will include bonus content such as deleted scenes, commentary, and a sing-along version of the film, something you were told not to do when seeing it in the theaters. A physical Blu-ray release will hit shelves on February 4th. The movie, starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, has raked in more than $500 million at the global box office. And speaking of witches and cauldrons, be careful what you brew. Tea drinkers may be drinking more than tea in that cup. There's a new study out, and it may make you want to switch up your tea.
The study by the Autonomous University of Barcelona says millions and perhaps billions of plastics are released from food-grade plastic tea bags right into your cup. Scientists say the microplastics are then consumed and absorbed into intestinal cells. They say the health risk is from those microplastics as they can carry toxic chemicals. The study says there's a workaround. Use loose-leaf tea, not tea from bags. I'm Bree Tennis.
And sticking with matters of health, the first severe case of bird flu in the country is showing mutations. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said Thursday that the patient's sample shows mutations affecting the way it attaches to host cells, something not seen in the infected flock of backyard birds on the patient's property. The patient in Louisiana, there's been no transmission to other humans detected. Also, whooping cough cases in the U.S. are at the highest level seen in a decade. Cases have been skyrocketing for months, with the CDC warning there's no sign of a slowdown. The Federal Health Agency says more than 32,000 cases have been reported this year through mid-December, 6 times more than last year at this time. And by the way, Pennsylvania reporting the most cases. The disease, also known as pertussis, is highly contagious. It often starts out with cold-like symptoms, followed by a full-body cough that can last for months. Children under the age of 1 are most at risk, with the CDC advising that DTaP vaccine offers the best protection. A biotech startup is hoping to bring a pill to market as soon as 2025 that could give dogs at least an extra year of healthy life. San Francisco-based Loyal has raised $125 million to develop the drug with the hopes that the work could also eventually benefit humans. The daily pill looks to lessen or reverse a dog's metabolic changes as it gets older. The most popular names for babies born in 2024 are being revealed. Out of more than 500,000 babies born this year to parents who were registered with BabyCenter.com, Noah was the most popular name for boys, and Olivia was the most popular for girls. It's the second year in a row in which the names Noah and Olivia were the most popular. The next popular names for girls included Amelia, Emma, and Sophia. For boys, Liam, Oliver, and Elijah. WABC News Time, 5:27. James Flippin filling in for Noam Laden. Coming up on 5:29 this Friday morning, December 27th, James Flippin here filling in for Noam Laden. When we come back, we're going to have financial news, catch you up on what to expect in terms of economic data, tell you what's going on with Amazon and Starbucks workers right now. We're even going to hear from John Catsimatidis concerning the oil market and how things may go under the incoming White House and the incoming Trump administration. Also, students at a school down in the Southwest going to be taught by artificial intelligence. All that and more coming up on the WABC News Hour. I'm James Flippin.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Good morning. Actually, it's James Flippin filling in for Noam Laden on this December 27th. It is Friday, and here's your Ramsey Mazda 3-day weather forecast to kick things off. It's mostly clear around the tri-state here in Midtown Manhattan. There's light wind out of the north. Later today, look for mostly sunny skies and a high near 38 degrees. Wind should remain light. Tonight, then, into Saturday, rain is in the forecast for the entire area, increasing cloud cover expected with a low near 35. Saturday and Sunday, rain in the forecast. Saturday's high near 47. A little warmer on Sunday will actually top out near 56 degrees. 27 right now in Midtown Manhattan, 21 in Trenton, New Jersey, and 22 degrees in Tuckahoe on Long Island. That's the weather forecast. From the Ramsey Mazda Weather Center. In financial news, mortgage rates are up as 2024 draws to a close, so that's a bummer for anybody who's looking to buy a home or potentially refinance their mortgage. For the week ending December 26th, average 30-year fixed-rate mortgages were at 6.85%, according to Freddie Mac. That is higher than the year's average, despite several cuts to the interest rate, the base rate from the Federal Reserve. Mortgage rates are more influenced by the bond market, which the Fed doesn't directly influence. And right now, the benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasuries yield is at 4.607, and it did rise yesterday. Amazon and Starbucks workers are back delivering packages and whipping up holiday drinks. Strikes at both companies have ended without a resolution. Delivery drivers with the Teamsters Union walked off the job ahead of Christmas at Amazon in several cities, including here in New York. That was concerning pay and demands that Amazon recognize them as employees rather than third-party workers. Starbucks workers united, the union, was striking at more than 300 stores over wages and benefits. It's not clear if those strikes had any impact on the bargaining power of workers. And in economic data, yesterday we saw the latest news on jobless claims can best be summed up as a mixed bag. The Labor Department's report shows first-time jobless claims fell by 1,000 last week to 219,000. That was against projections of 225,000. But ongoing or continued jobless claims are up at their highest level since November 2021 at nearly 2 million. So people are staying unemployed for longer as the rate of hiring in the U.S. has slowed overall. Today on the economic calendar, look for November's advanced U.S. trade balance and goods, also advanced retail inventories and advanced wholesale inventories. They're all due for November. 77 WABC owner-operator John Catsimatidis was on Fox Business this weekend, or I should say in recent days, addressing the oil market. Of course, in addition to his grocery store empire, John is an oil man as well, and he was asked what the Trump White House will mean for the energy markets.
It means global growth. It means that the United States will be a leader in oil production.
Again, courtesy Fox Business, John saying oil and energy markets were prisoner under the policies of President Biden. President-elect Trump has talked extensively about unleashing American energy and drilling more oil in order to tamp down inflation and lower energy prices. Students at an Arizona charter school will be taught by artificial intelligence.
The state's charter school board recently narrowly approved an application from Unbound Academy. The school is fully online with students receiving teaching from AI for 2 hours each day. Unbound operates a private school in Texas using the same AI-based model and is also looking to open similar schools in Utah and Arkansas. In its application in Arizona, the school said that the AI curriculum ensures that each student is consistently challenged at their optimal level, preventing boredom or frustration. In Phoenix, I'm Christy Lynn.
New Jersey Transit is boosting service for New Year's celebrations. The agency says it's offering modified weekday service on New Year's Eve with extra service to New York and Hoboken on select lines during the evening. They'll also be offering extra overnight service from Penn Station and Hoboken, and then they're running a weekend schedule New Year's Day. Families with children under 11 years old ride for free through January 6th. Meanwhile, New Jersey Transit says it will strictly enforce its beverage ban on all trains, buses, or light rail vehicles. A New York City cop, currently suspended after racking up a lot of overtime, is demanding she be reinstated. The Daily News reports the lawyer for Lieutenant Quatisha Epps sent a letter to the NYPD's commissioner asking for special consideration since she alleges she was the victim of sexual abuse from within the department. Epps was suspended after it was revealed she was the highest-paid NYPD member, accumulating $200,000 in overtime alone last year. Epps then filed a claim alleging Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry basically traded her overtime for sex. Madry resigned earlier this month. Richard Parsons, the former CEO of Time Warner, has died at the age of 76.
Parsons became the CEO in 2002, directly after Time Warner's disastrous takeover of AOL. He helped divorce the two companies, dropping the AOL from the corporation's name, and grew Time Warner back to a multi-billion-dollar company before stepping away in 2007. His death was reported Thursday. I'm Brian Shook.
Thursday's performance of the Broadway show Gypsy canceled due to continued illness within the show's cast. Last night's performance marked the third straight cancellation for the show. The company had previously canceled its Christmas Day show on short notice, leaving many who had tickets frustrated. And it was then that they canceled the Thursday matinee. In a post on X, the company announced that last night's cancellation, less than 2 hours before the show was slated to begin, but the company provided no further details as to the extent of the illnesses in the show. WABC News Time, 5:37. Adam Sandler is once again hitting the links as the first teaser for Happy Gilmore 2 was released on Christmas.
The teaser shows Sandler festooned in his Timberland boots and Boston Bruins sweater, reprising his role as the title character almost 29 years after the release of the original film.
It's great to see you back, Mr. Gilmore.
Yeah, baby! We've only just begun.
Gilmore, make that happen.
Also shown in the trailer is NFL star Travis Kelce and rap sensation Bad Bunny. Happy Gilmore is set to release on Netflix in 2025. I'm Rob Martier.
Westchester County Executive George Latimer has officially submitted his resignation as he prepares to be sworn into his U.S. House seat next month. Latimer called his time as the county executive the greatest honor of his life. He served in his position for 7 years before winning the race for New York's 16th congressional district in November. Latimer will deliver his farewell address on December 30th, and his resignation will go into effect on January 2nd before he's sworn into office on January 3rd. City Harvest is urging New Yorkers to donate money for those in need of food. CEO Jilly Stevens says the organization, serving hundreds of food pantries and soup kitchens throughout New York City, is matching donations dollar for dollar until the end of the year.
The important work at City Harvest to make sure that all of our neighbors have the food that they need to thrive is made possible only by the support of other New Yorkers.
Officials say there is a huge demand for food right now, and the demand has only surged since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. A water rescue yesterday on a half-frozen Long Island creek from a woman who was watching TV in her living room. Despite the freezing temperatures and the ice in the half-frozen Poospatuck Creek off Mastic Beach yesterday, a man tried riding his jet ski. News 12 reports that nearby resident Kayla Masoto saw him slip under the ice. She grabbed her paddleboard, ran out onto the ice, and got him on board. The man was conscious but numb when EMTs arrived. No word on his condition, but the local fire chief is calling Masoto a lifesaver. The Kremlin says it's wrong to speculate about what may have caused an airliner to crash in Kazakhstan Wednesday.
Some aviation experts are saying the crash was likely caused by Russian anti-aircraft fire. The crash killed 38 of the 67 people on board the Azerbaijan Airlines flight. A spokesperson for Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Thursday it would be incorrect to make any hypotheses before the investigation comes to conclusions. A chief intelligence officer at aviation security firm Osprey Flight Solutions says the airliner was likely shot down by a Russian air defense system. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The first severe case of bird flu in the country is reportedly showing mutations. Michael Bailey, president-elect of the American Veterinary Medical Association, says that shouldn't come as a surprise.
Viruses are very sneaky. They mutate very easily. Viruses are always looking for the next species that they can enter into.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said yesterday the patient's sample in Louisiana shows mutations affecting the way it attaches to host cells. And that's something not seen in the infected flock of backyard birds on the patient's property there in Louisiana. No transmission to other humans has been detected. The lawyer for a former CEO who's been charged with sex trafficking says his client has dementia.
Mike Jeffries is the former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch. Back in October, he was arrested in Florida on charges of sex trafficking and interstate prostitution. The 80-year-old Jeffries has pleaded not guilty and has been ordered by a judge to home confinement. In court documents filed in New York on Monday, Jeffries' lawyers questioned his client's competency to rationally assist in his defense. A hearing on his competency is scheduled for next summer. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Holiday travel is picking up the pace as more people make their way home following holiday celebrations. A record number of people expected to be on the road and at the airports. AAA advising leave more time than you think you need. Just getting to the airport can be taxing. About 120 million people will travel 50 miles or more through New Year's Day, and that's back to pre-pandemic levels. TSA expects today and Saturday to be very busy at large airports across the country, so count on that at Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia. About 107 million people will be on the roads for the holidays. President-elect Trump's Border Czar says protecting children is a main driver behind the expected zero-tolerance border policy under the incoming White House. Tom Homan says the Biden administration put thousands of kids at risk with lax border enforcement policies.
What they did is harming hundreds of thousands of children. And I tell you right now, some of these children we're never going to find. Some of these children are dead. Some of these children are living a life of hell every day, but we're going to do everything we can to rescue as many as we can.
Heartbreakingly, Homan says many of these kids that are never found are sold into sex trafficking. The Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General reported at least 300,000 migrant children basically disappeared off the radar during the Biden-Harris administration. Police in Boulder, Colorado, say they plan to employ new DNA technology in hopes of solving the 1996 murder of 6-year-old John Benet Ramsey.
Her father, John Ramsey, is set to meet with the police chief in January to advocate for advanced DNA testing that could separate mixed samples and utilize familial genealogy research. The department has already modernized its investigation, digitizing thousands of case files and taking inventory of over 2,500 pieces of evidence. Officials remain committed to identifying John Benet's killer and bringing closure to her family. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
WABC News Time coming up on 5:45. Safety is on the mind of many New Yorkers these days, and that's especially true among the subways. But before that, let's check in on the 77 WABC Sports Desk. The Giants hoping to break the franchise's longest losing streak this weekend. The team will kick off against Anthony Richardson and the Colts from MetLife Stadium Sunday afternoon. Malik Neighbors, the standout rookie wide receiver, one of 7 players who missed practice yesterday due to injury. The G-men have lost 10 straight, just 2-13 on the season. They do, as of right now, hold the number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. The Jets putting the finishing touches on preparations for their Week 17 opponent, the team battling Josh Allen and the Bills at Orchard Park Sunday afternoon. Devontae Adams, Sauce Gardner, Tony Adams, and Elijah Vera Tucker didn't practice yesterday. Gang Green has lost 5 of 6. In third in the AFC East at 4-11. The Brooklyn Nets pumped the brakes on a 2-game losing streak after edging the Bucks 111-105 in Milwaukee. Cameron Johnson led all scorers with 28 points. Noah Clowney and Shake Milton sunk 20, while Nick Claxton grabbed 7 rebounds to go along with 13 points. Brooklyn improved to 12-18 on the season and will host the San Antonio Spurs tonight. The Knicks back on the hardwood tonight following their Christmas Day win over the Spurs. The team tipping off against the Magic from Orlando. Mikal Bridges exploded for 41 points on Christmas Day. Karl Anthony Towns added 21 points and grabbed 9 boards. The Knicks have won 5 straight, and they improved their mark to 20-10 on the season. The Devils are back from the Christmas break. The team returns to action tonight in Newark against the Hurricanes at the Prudential Center. New Jersey coming off its second straight shutout win after a convincing victory over the rival Rangers. Jersey has won 5 of 6 overall and has 49 points on the season. The Rangers remain on break, as do the Islanders. And here's Rhonda Moss with more in sports.
A real barn burner in Chicago. Neither team found the end zone as the Seahawks outkicked the Bears 6-3. Geno Smith threw for just 160 yards in the win, but says he'll take an ugly win any day of the week.
It's a week-to-week league, and it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, man. Like, gutting out a 6-3 win feels just as good as, winning the game 44-41. It's all about getting wins.
Seahawks improved to 9-7 to keep their playoff hopes alive. Bears have dropped 10 straight. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts has not practiced all week, remains in concussion protocol. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb done for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury. At the Game Above Sports Bowl at Ford Field, Toledo beat Pitt in 6 overtimes. That's the longest bowl game in college history. Red Wings GM Steve Yzerman has seen enough. Fired head coach Derek Lalonde, replaced him with former Kings head coach Todd McClellan. That's sports. I'm Rhonda Moss.
Safety is on the minds of many New Yorkers these days. The Guardian Angels, as directed by 77 WABC host Curtis Sliwa, have been patrolling and looking through idle trains.
So people don't feel safe. I don't know if you heard, but they set a woman on fire.
And this following the burning death last Sunday in Coney Island.
Subway riders are looking over their shoulders, especially after a string of unprovoked attacks.
I get paranoid, a lot of anxiety. I notice a lot of women get targeted.
You walk into the subway, you don't know if you're going to get into some kind of situation.
There's a lot of suspicious stuff on it.
A woman was deliberately set on fire and burned to death on an F train in Coney Island last Sunday, and 2 people are recovering from random Christmas Eve slashings by a man at Grand Central Terminal. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
Former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is seeking a delay in his sentencing in his federal corruption case until after his wife's trial next year. The couple had been charged together in the bribery and corruption case, but different trials were scheduled after Nadine Menendez was diagnosed with breast cancer. Her trial scheduled to begin January 21st, and that's just 8 days before Bob Menendez will be sentenced. His attorneys citing the emotional toll their family would suffer if the ex-senator is sentenced as that trial gets underway. The nationwide retailer Big Lots closing all of its 963 stores nationwide, including 18 in New Jersey, many of which are along the Jersey Shore. The action means the layoff of some 385 New Jersey employees, including many in Toms River, Barnegat, Brick, and Middletown. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in September. Between 25 and 30 million real Christmas trees are sold across America each year, and now that the holiday's over, those trees can be recycled. There are more than 4,000 Christmas tree recycling programs around the country, so look for one near you. As a matter of fact, there's one along the Jersey Shore that uses the old trees to help maintain beach dune integrity. Dune, the word I was searching for there. And back in New York, a judge has ruled that the woman accusing rapper Jay-Z of rape can remain anonymous.
The ruling comes a few weeks after a now 38-year-old woman says Jay-Z, along with Sean Diddy Combs, drugged and raped her when she was just 13 years old. She says it happened in 2000 at an MTV Video Music Awards after-party. Jay-Z's attorney had been pushing the judge in the case for the woman making the accusation to be identified publicly or to have the case dismissed entirely. Jay-Z has denied any wrongdoing in the case and previously stated that the accuser was attempting to blackmail him. Jonathan O'Halloran, NBC News Radio, New York.
Blue Sky, or the liberal Twitter, is adding a trending topics feature to its platform. The new feature is available on both the mobile and desktop versions of the social media app, similar to the trending functions found on both X, formerly Twitter, and Threads. By the way, Blue Sky is founded by former Twitter founder Jack Dorsey, or he is the Twitter founder, Jack Dorsey. Its former CEO, and it recently hit a milestone of 25 million users. Many of them left X, they say, after the elections because it's owned by Elon Musk, and many users claim there are fewer bots on Blue Sky. The latest jobless numbers show a mixed bag.
The Labor Department's report shows new jobless claims went down by 1,000 last week to 219,000. But the report also showed the highest number of people collecting unemployment benefits since November 2021 at nearly 2 million. That was an increase of 46,000 from the last reading, suggesting people out of work are having a harder time finding a new job. I'm Brian Shook.
Good morning. This is James Flippin filling in for Noam Laden. WABC News Time, 5:54. Coming up on Sid and Friends in the Morning with Curtis Sliwa filling in. A record number of viewers watched the Christmas Day NFL doubleheader on Netflix. The league says, according to Nielsen, about 65 million combined viewers tuned in to see Kansas City beat Pittsburgh and then Baltimore rout Houston. The Chiefs-Steelers game drew 24.1 million viewers, and the Ravens-Texans matchup averaged 24.3 million. The NFL says they were the most streamed NFL games in history. Viewership spiked to 27 million during Beyoncé's halftime performance, and that was during the Baltimore-Houston game. Well, now that the big cooking holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas are over, it's time for a kitchen cleanup. Here's what you need to toss.
The Environmental Protection Agency says growing research shows some black plastic kitchen tools are made from recycled electronic waste. When heated, those can leach toxic chemicals into your food. They say toss that drawer full of black plastic spoons, spatulas, ladles, tongs, and containers and start off 2025 toxic-free in the kitchen. As for replacements, they say look for tools made from wood, stainless steel, or silicone. I'm Bree Tennis.
Severe weather causing holiday traffic delays in the nation's southeast. The National Weather Service issuing tornado warnings in Texas and Louisiana. The FAA ordered ground stops at two major airports in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. More than 700 flights canceled last night, including hundreds in and out of Dallas-Fort Worth. And that severe weather in parts of the southeast expected to diminish today, but return tomorrow. Amazon and Starbucks workers back delivering packages and whipping up holiday drinks. Strikes at both companies have ended without a resolution. Delivery drivers with the Teamsters Union walked off the job ahead of Christmas at Amazon in several cities over pay and demands that Amazon recognize them as employees. Meanwhile, the union Starbucks Workers United struck at more than 300 stores concerning wages and benefits. Just a few days remaining in 2024. We now know the year's most popular baby names.
Out of more than 500,000 babies born this year to parents who were registered with BabyCenter.com, Noah was the most popular name for boys, and Olivia was the most popular for girls. This is the second year in a row which the names Noah and Olivia were the most popular. The next most popular names for girls included Amelia, Emma, and Sophia. For boys, it was Liam, Oliver, and Elijah. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The man charged with fatally setting a woman on fire on a New York City subway train is back in court today. It comes after community members in Brooklyn held a candlelight vigil for the victim, who is still yet to be identified, Jane Doe. The victim was sitting on an F train when Sebastian Zapeta Khalil allegedly approached her and used a lighter to ignite her clothes after pouring accelerant. Prosecutors argue the 33-year-old admitted during interrogation that he was the man that's been seen on surveillance video that's also gone viral in terms of people shooting video on the subway platform. And the guy claims he doesn't know what happened because he consumed alcohol. WABC News Time, 5:59, blitzing through some key headlines here as we get ready for Sid and Friends in the Morning. President-elect Trump's Border Czar says protecting children is a main driver behind the incoming White House's zero-tolerance border policy. Also, a New York judge has ruled that the woman accusing rapper Jay-Z of rape can remain anonymous. That's something his attorney had pushed to change. The first severe case of bird flu in the country showing mutations. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said last night the patient's sample shows mutations affecting the way it attaches to host cells, but there has not been transmission to other humans detected. And in sports, the Seattle Seahawks outlasted the Chicago Bears 6-3 last night. And Tariq Woolen intercepted a pass in the final seconds to seal the win. The Seahawks now 9-7 after snapping a 2-game losing streak. Coming up on 6 o'clock this Friday, December 27th, I'm James Flippin, filling in for Noam Layden.